Hi, I'm Bruce McCain. I'm the Chief Investment Strategist for Key Private Bank, and we're here today to talk about our economic outlook. Finally, after several difficult years, the global economic conditions are improving. Europe's financial system is stabilized, even though some of those problems have not fully healed. The peripheral economies in the Eurozone have also pulled back from the economic brink, improving the odds that Europe will add to economic growth in the coming months. And while fears about slowing growth in the emerging economies of the world have become more widespread, accelerating international trade should provide a significant positive catalyst for economies that have always been heavily export-driven. Yet, even though growth is accelerating, the level of growth may remain disappointing. A great deal of world growth in recent years has come from the build-out of capacity in emerging economies as they took advantage of large pools of low-cost labor. Research by the economist Timothy Taylor shows that one consequence of that broadening supply of labor is that employees have received a declining share of overall economic production. Economically, Taylor's study implies that the supply of global labor has expanded faster than the demand for the products that laborers produce. In the United States, the Taylor results help explain why unemployment remains a stubborn problem and employee wages have risen more slowly than many important living costs. A generous supply of manufactured goods has helped keep overall inflation in check, but the costs of healthcare, energy, food, and taxes continue to stress many household budgets. A similar experience seems to plague other developed countries of the world. Of course, China and other emerging economies have benefited from their rising export of cheaper manufactured goods, and resource-rich developing economies have benefited from growing raw material sales into the rapidly expanding production economies. The sharp slowing of growth in the emerging world, however, is another warning that global production may be outrunning consumption. Eventually, as larger middle classes develop in the emerging world and their consumption of manufactured goods increases, global demand should absorb any oversupply. Until that happens, however, the growth that results from the build-out of new productive capacity may need to slow. Strong economic growth is not the birthright of any nation, in part because the sources of growth constantly shift as global economies evolve. Total national growth depends heavily on the growth of each country's population, and per capita economic welfare is heavily tied to improving productivity through declining costs of production. In terms of population and productivity, the United States holds several vital advantages. Population growth in the United States is projected to be much better than for most other countries of the world. An expanding population is one reason to believe that real estate markets in this country will continue the recovery they have begun in recent months. The entrepreneurial culture of the United States also gives us an edge in developing and implementing productivity improvements. In recent years, advances in the exploration for and development of energy resources have helped reduce energy costs for homeowners and businesses alike. Since natural gas is typically best utilized close to the sources of supply, U.S. industrial producers could have a significant advantage in coming years. Advances in using computers to revolutionize industrial production are also creating many important new manufacturing efficiencies. As long as we are able to find new ways to produce the things people want more efficiently, we have the potential to improve the economic welfare of U.S. citizens. To implement new productive processes, however, businesses often need to borrow money. Unfortunately, the large and growing debt load of the United States could disrupt vital innovations in the future. To this point, we have avoided the high costs of borrowing that can stifle capital investments, but the rising level of private and government debt, along with the unfunded cost of retirement and other government promises, pose significant risks to the future cost of financing. The debt problems of the United States are not insurmountable, but they urgently need to be addressed. In summary, economic growth in the United States remains solid, and improving global trade should help increase U.S. growth in the coming months. Although we could all wish for stronger growth, it is the work of economies to overcome constraints and adapt to change. If U.S. economic conditions are not as favorable as they once were, they still provide solid opportunities for the future. And while we face some daunting challenges in the years ahead, the United States still possesses enviable advantages for overcoming those challenges compared with most other economies of the world. It's been our pleasure to be with you this morning, and we appreciate the opportunity to share with you our outlook for the U.S. and the global economy.